Welcome everyone. Today is Monday, January 19th, and 2 days from now, I'm turning 72. If this is your first time here, welcome to the channel. My name is Rich, and on this channel, I just want to talk about some things that I've noticed since I've gotten older, since I've aged, especially after turning 70. So, one of the things I really wanted to talk about, and I mentioned it in yesterday's video, was memory. My memory specifically, since I'm the only one that I can talk about my experience with memory loss. So I guess I first noticed that I was starting to lose that edge in my 60s sometime. Before that, I was pretty sharp. I could remember most things. There's some things I always had a problem remembering, maybe because my attention span wasn't that great. But in my early days, playing rock music in my 20s and 30s, I remembered song progressions. I could play them one time through, and I'd remember it with no problem. I remember all the different chords, the progressions, where the lyrics came in. I could remember the lyrics, that kind of thing. Now, I was in a band, a couple of bands back then, and I got out of doing that when I was in my 30s. I moved on to other things. But my memory was still pretty good for most things. Things like TV shows and movies, I always had a problem. Like, some people have a really good memory for movies and TV shows, and where they find the lines, where they remember what movie this line was from, that line was from. I was never really that good. Maybe I never really paid attention that much when I watched movies or programs. I just kind of took in the whole experience. That's the way I watched entertainment. But then as I got older, and like I said, more or less in my 60s, I started noticing that I was forgetting other things. The typical stuff, like where'd I put my keys, where'd I put my phone, where'd I put my glasses, that kind of stuff. Or I would have something in mind that I needed in the kitchen or in the living room, and once I got to the kitchen or living room, I'd be like, what was it I wanted? So it's kind of tough to talk about memory issues, and I made myself some notes because, well, this video is about memory. So I didn't really worry about it at first, but when I got into my later 60s, I started thinking, well, is this something more? Am I starting to lose it? Am I starting to get some kind of condition, some kind of dementia? I took a couple of tests online to make sure I could remember stuff. But my short-term memory just, it's okay, but it's not like I want it to be. So what I found, though, let me turn this fan down. The noise might be too much. Okay. So what I found over time, though, was that I was just trying to think of too many things at once. Again, I covered some of this in yesterday's video, but I wanted to get more into detail here. So when you multitask, and I've never been great at multitasking, but when I do, or when anybody does, you tend to lose some of what you're thinking of different things. At least I do. So what I found really helps me out is I try to stay focused on one thing. If I stay focused on one particular thing, one particular task that I'm doing, I have a pretty good memory. It's when my mind starts wandering and I start thinking of other things I have to do. I got to take the trash out. I got to make myself lunch. I got to write a script. I have to, later on, I have to go get a key made at Home Depot or something. And then that stuff starts intruding. And that's when I start, forgetting any of the, any of the main stuff that I really want to remember. So I don't know, it might help you too, but if you just try to just do one thing at a time, take on one task, get it complete, and then move on to something else. Maybe that'll work for you too. I don't know. But one of the things that's really helped me out is my iPhone. So I tend to set reminders for a lot of things that maybe aren't important to do right now, but I need to remember them in the future. And it might be as soon as this afternoon, or it might be something for tomorrow, or it might be something for next week, or it might be to remind me to pay a bill the third of every month. So if I set a reminder, I relieve that stress. And a lot of times that stress, it really hurts you. It affects you in other ways. It affects your digestion. It affects your mood. Stress is not good. So the more you can relieve that stress, the better. So that's one of the ways I found that I can relieve my stress, at least. And I think most of you out there, most people have a cell phone of some kind. If it's not an iPhone, you have some way of setting a reminder for yourself. So maybe it's something that, it's not immediate, but you need to set a reminder and just relieve some of that stress. As far as the conditions, the different conditions like dementia, Alzheimer's, those things, I'm not really talking about that here. I don't really have any experience with that. But I would say if you're really, really concerned, see a doctor. See your family doctor. Just ask them, can you give me a test on, I don't even know what test they do. Probably some kind of, memory quiz or something. Maybe some of you out there that have taken it can put something in the comments below to help people out. So the only thing I'm really talking about here is a natural memory loss. And it is natural. It's just something with age. Everybody has some type of memory loss, some more than others. I know people say, oh, my grandma, she's in her 90s and she's sharp as a tack. Well, maybe she is. I'm sure there's a small percentage of people that retain everything that they ever did in their life and every detail. And, I'm not one of those people. I think I'm one of the average, 90%. I'm just throwing figures out there. I don't have any idea what the figures are. But I think most people have some kind of memory loss, some more than others. So I really wanted to touch on that and just relieve everybody that it's natural. It's a natural part of aging. And there are some things you can do about it. Like I said, stay on task, one thing at a time. Set some reminders from important stuff that's coming up. And yeah, it worries me. I think about it from time to time. Is it getting worse? Am I going to be able to function? Am I going to be able to, can I drive from one place to another and know where I'm going? I even set my GPS sometimes when I know I've taken a route, hundreds of times, but I just want that GPS to remind me that I'm on the right route. I don't want to have to think about it. I want to know that, oh yeah, exit such and such is coming up in 2 miles. All right, now I can get ready for it. I can get over in that right-hand lane. We'll talk more about driving in the future because I want to talk about that and how driving has changed for me as I get older. I don't want to get into that here. I'll get sucked down a rabbit hole because I'm really good at getting sucked down those rabbit holes. So those are the things that have really helped me and helped me to relax about the memory loss thing. I don't put the pressure on myself anymore that I have to remember this or that. I have to remember so-and-so's name. I can remember faces, but names is a little bit harder. Unless I'm with somebody on a constant basis, like every week or every month or something. I try to remember. I try to give myself those little clues about what their name is. I don't want to forget people's names. But if it's somebody I haven't seen in a long time, or somebody I used to work with 10 or 20 years ago, it's hit or miss. Maybe I'll remember their name, maybe I won't, but I think that's all natural too. So I try not to stress too much about that, because there's enough to stress about in this world than, if I remember somebody's name from 10 or 20 years ago. So I think that's all I have to say for today. But if you watch this to the end, I really appreciate it. Thanks for stopping by and listening to me for however long this is. If you want to check out my other video, I only have one other one up so far. It's on the website. It's on YouTube. And if you do, make a comment. Maybe you can offer some of your points of view in the comment section. I'll try to read them all. But right now, I will be able to read them all. So thanks for stopping by, and thanks for listening. Hope to see you next time.